In at number 10, Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell is a comedian and known for crossing the line a few times even as she worked as a host for The View. Unfortunately for Rosie, she never learned how to turn off the rude behavior when it came to her personal life. According to reports, the reason why she was fired from The View was due to multiple people on the set saying that she was far too mean to finish the season with. That was in 2007 and meant that she wouldn't even complete the first season of the show. Rosie did eventually return back to the program later on, but promised that she would be a much calmer version. However, that comeback only lasted 5 months after she released her contract to focus on her family following a divorce with her husband. Entertainment Tonight had interviewed some of the staff that worked with O'Donnell, and here's what they found. O'Donnell, who has a reputation as a demanding and sometimes abrasive boss, didn't feel like her strengths were being properly used by ABC, according to those close to the 52-year-old comedian. Compounding the problem were tensions with the co-host Whoopi Goldberg and behind-the-scenes executive turmoil at The View, which recently shifted to management under ABC News. Rosie confirmed to be rude. If Whoopi Goldberg doesn't like you, we got a problem. In at number 9, Tommy Lee Jones. Hey, remember when I said that some of these may not be confirmed? This one is most definitely confirmed. Tommy Lee Jones already gives off those vibes that he may be a grumpy dude in real life, but don't take my word for it, listen to Joan and Melissa Rivers. They had direct interactions with this celebrity and every time list him as the worst to deal with.
Who's given you the worst red carpet interview?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, no question.
He is at the top of everybody's lists.
Joan has stated before that he acts like a snob, and because he went to Yale, he therefore believes that he's better than everyone. In at number 8, Jared Leto.
No, that's not his name. It's Jared Leto.
Jared, oh, sick. Big ups, man.
What's your name?
Grinder.
Jared Leto certainly has had his awkward moments in the press and on stage, as you saw there. Upon looking into interactions with this celebrity, I found multiple articles about how he terrorized the cast and crew of Suicide Squad. He fully committed to the role of the Joker, and it was nasty. He treated Margot Robbie as if she was Harley Quinn, so imagine that dialogue on a daily basis. Plus, he sent her a rat as a gift. And before they even started filming, Leto decided to give everyone on set a gift. Viola Davis witnessed the incident and said he did some bad things. Jared Leto did. He gave some really horrific gifts. He had a henchman who would come into the rehearsal room, and then the henchman came in with a dead pig and plopped it on the table and then just walked out. And that was our introduction into Jared Leto. In at number 7, Carrie Underwood. Carrie is a notoriously private person that doesn't resort to acting rude to keep things private. However, the worst of the worst interactions have been from the people that had to work with Underwood. In Toronto, Carrie was the headlining act at a major charity event, but when walking down the red carpet, she repeatedly snubbed the event staff. The PR staff is in charge of directing the celebrities down the carpet so that they don't get caught up with, interviews or too long of a photo shoot. While one of them was trying to do their job and direct Carrie, she said that Underwood looked at her with disgust as she sized her up and down before walking away. Besides that, there's also her strange attention-grabbing posts. A while back, she had reported that after a bad fall, she needed 40 to 50 stitches in her face and that she would look completely different. Then she posted a photo and everyone said, nothing has changed. You look exactly the same. Quit being so rude to people who have actually had terrible things done to their face. In at number 6, Jon Hamm.
I have the nerve to not be in love with Jon Hamm.
What happened?
I just think he's like douchey.
Say what you will about Kathy Griffin, but I actually feel bad for her in this scenario. Here she is getting invited to an exclusive Hollywood dinner, getting to meet Jack Nicholson for the first time, only to have Jon Hamm yapping in her ear. No matter who you ask in Hollywood, most people will fawn over how much they adore and love Jon Hamm, yet Kathy has consistently upheld that he is one of the rudest celebrities that she's ever met. Even in her memoir, she wrote about how Hamm had repeatedly harassed her at a party for no reason. While intoxicated, he called her old and topped it off by saying that her career was a failure. It's no wonder he worked so well as Don Draper in Mad Men, because that's actually who this celebrity embodies most. In at number 5, Christian Bale.
What is he doing there? Do you understand my mind is not in the scene if you're doing that?
I absolutely apologize. I'm sorry. I did not mean anything by it.
Stay off the set, man.
When this tape leaked, Christian Bale not only had to go on a press tour for his new movie, but an apology tour as well. That Christian Bale rant had so many expletives in it that I was almost certain that I couldn't even find a clip for this video. While filming The Terminator Salvation, a crew member had accidentally walked onto the set, interrupting Bale while he was, acting super seriously. This sent the celebrity into a downward spiral of anger where the F word suddenly became punctuation for his sentences. He nearly stopped all production on the movie just so that he could release his frustrations on the hard-working film crew. We get that some acting requires intense focus, but regardless, if someone breaks that focus, that doesn't give the actor license to scream at them. In at number 4, Kanye West.
The young lady seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award. What's he doing?
Why would he
there?
do that?
He's a
Now I'm sure that the editors had to bleep that, but even President Obama has confirmed how rude Kanye is. During a 2009 press interview at the White House, Obama didn't realize that his mic was still on. The interviewer was asking the president how he felt about what Kanye did to Taylor Swift, although he didn't seem shocked that West could be so rude. Not only did Kanye's famous VMA interruption get him more negative press than when he said that George Bush hated black people, but he doubled down on his rude behavior. When Trump became president, Kanye continued to treat others horribly. He toted a MAGA hat while also saying that slavery was a choice. On top of his political controversies, the rapper from Chicago has also repeatedly dragged Taylor Swift's name through the mud, even having his wife just join in on their gross behavior. In at number 3, Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande is a confusing one because at times you feel bad for her, but then she'll turn around and have a diva moment like that and you just go, damn, that was really rude. She turned to her red carpet assistant and told her to get out of the way because she was ruining the photos. She also had a run-in with Juliana Rancic, and according to Juliana, while interviewing her, Ariana poked her in the side and gestured for her to switch positions in front of the camera, like while the interview was going. When the interviewer didn't know what she meant, Ariana leaned in and made it very clear. She said, "I only allow photos to be taken from my left side, my good side." Oh, and let's not forget her infamous donut licking scandal. That was nasty. While at a bakery with some friends, Ariana just licked 2 of the donuts on display, didn't pay for them, didn't even eat them, just laughed and then walked away. In at number 2, Mel Gibson. Where do we even start? Oh yeah, now I remember. Oh, great editor God, can you please roll the clip?
I deserve to be first until I burn the house down.
What's even more disturbing is that what you just heard was the 4th phone call, and surprisingly enough, that was one of the least aggressive ones that I could find. The odd thing about Mel Gibson is that throughout the 80s and 90s, he was a nice and well-respected lead actor. He was becoming well-known for the Lethal Weapon movies, and some believe that his ego just started getting a little too big. These vicious voicemails are the result of a drinking problem combined with coping that he was no longer Hollywood's go-to guy. With that much pent-up anger and untreated mental illness, he was destined to be a rude dude. Last but not least, our number 1 spot, Rihanna. Rihanna takes the cake for the rudest celebrity in Hollywood after this online bullying scandal. In 2010, Rihanna attended the Echo Awards in this green catsuit dress with like bat wings. It was strange. That's really the only way I can describe it. Oddly enough, this look was a huge hit with her fans, so people everywhere were making their own versions. Unfortunately for 16-year-old fan Alexis Carter, she got to see her idol in a whole new light. When she posted her photo trying to pay homage to her favorite artist, she was bullied by a lot of people, including Rihanna, who posted this meme. Then just a few minutes later, she posted this meme. Can you imagine working so hard on making your prom dress to look like Rihanna's, and then she says it sucks via Twitter? What a time to be alive. At least celebrities are exposing themselves for us. So, for that, we thank you. In at number 10, Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer has legendary status for being one of the rudest and most difficult people to work with in Hollywood. Since the early 1980s, Kilmer was booking gigs left and right, plus he proved to be commercially viable with the major success of the film Batman Forever, which ended up booking him several more roles and perhaps adding to his bad reputation. While working on the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau, the director said Val would show up and an argument would happen almost immediately. John Frankenheimer ended up replacing that director after he only worked 3 days with the actor before being fired. Still, even John said, "I don't like Val Kilmer, I don't like his work ethic, and I don't want to be associated with him ever again." In at number 9, Katherine Heigl. Katherine Heigl seems to be the type of celebrity that says yes to every opportunity, and then when she regrets it later, she just openly bashes her decisions in the public eye. The first case of this happening was when she co-starred opposite Seth Rogen for the Judd Apatow film Knocked Up. Seth Rogen said at the time that he was having a great time while working with Heigl, and mainly because she was improvising a lot of her own stuff, which was great for the film. However, not too long after that, she did an interview with Vanity Fair and expressed just how much she hated the movie. Heigl said, "It was a little sexist. It paints the women as shrews, as humorless and uptight, and it paints the men as lovable, goofy, fun-loving guys. It exaggerated the characters, and I had a hard time with it on some days. I'm playing such a bitch. Why is she being such a killjoy? Why is this how you're portraying women? 98% of the time, it was an amazing experience, but it was hard for me to love the movie." Well, now it's hard for anyone to trust you, Katherine.
She had some commentary about Knocked Up after it came out.
What'd she say?
She didn't like it.
She didn't like it?
But she was so awesome in it, so it was confusing.
Yeah.
In at number 8, Bruce Willis. During a press run for his film Red 2, along with co-star Mary Louise Parker, Bruce was noticeably annoyed that he had to even answer the interviewer's questions. Jamie Edwards from Britain's Magic 105.4 actually called it the most awkward interview he's ever had. Apparently, Bruce was barely present while being interviewed, which led to this super cringe moment.
I never told you this, Jamie. This part is not acting, what we're doing right now. You might be, but we're just selling the film now.
When asked which location he preferred while they were filming the movie, Bruce answered with Istanbul. The problem with that answer wasn't his dismissive tone, the problem was that the film never even filmed there. He just said a place he liked, making that poor reporter's job even more difficult as he tried to maintain his composure. In at number 7, Mike Myers. Mike Myers had built himself quite the career with a successful run on Saturday Night Live that led to his character creations being adapted into movies like Wayne's World. Although when the actor starred as the cat in the film The Cat in the Hat, he was allegedly a nightmare to work with. His co-star Amy Hill spoke publicly about Mike's behavior, and she said he had his handlers dress his trailer and his area was all covered with tenting because he didn't want anyone seeing him. It was so weird. It was just the worst. I was miserable. I just thought it was really rude of him to not take us all into consideration.
A monster? Where?
That could have gone better.
In at number 6, Beyonce.
From being a group as in Destiny's Child.
I'm sorry, but I answered this question already.
Oh, you did? Okay.
All right.
Beyond the shady looks that she used to give her background singers in Destiny's Child whenever they were off-key, Beyonce has also been known to invoke her diva status on more than one occasion. She's avoided eye contact with red carpet assistants and yelled at photographers for not getting her good side, and more recently sparked controversy at the Golden Globes. When it was announced that Joaquin Phoenix had won for Best Actor, everyone stood up. Everyone from Leonardo DiCaprio to the ever-so-rude Ellen DeGeneres, although Beyonce was noticeably unamused by the announcement and just remained seated, even though she was literally right beside him. However, Twitter was quick to call her out for this. One person tweeted, "Sorry, but I don't think this is the type of energy anyone should be praised for. I don't know if there was another reason for her sitting, but the fact that she didn't stand with everyone else, especially during a standing ovation, is rude, point blank." In at number 5, Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen is the exact polar opposite of what you should do when pursuing a career in Hollywood. He carries with him a terrible offset and on-set reputation, and the debacle he went through in 2011 even led to his contract termination from the show 2.5 Men. For a while, he was all over the news for everything. I mean, substance abuse, domestic violence, and even when he revealed that he was HIV positive. With his history of flying off the drop of a hat and trying to get people fired who speak ill of him, Sheen has had a very difficult time trying to rebuild his career. Also, there was the major shade thrown when Ashton Kutcher took his place on the show 2.5 Men. In at number 4, Madonna.
So someone who knows about sound better come up here and explain something to me. I'm waiting.
If you thought Beyonce was being a diva, well, who do you think she learned it from? Madonna is the queen of snide and crass remarks, some subtle and some just thrown right at you. When the star appeared on the Graham Norton show, she was blasted by viewers for the way that she interacted with Sir Ian McKellen. Graham Norton had asked if they had already met, and while Madonna couldn't remember, Ian described a very detailed encounter, to which Madonna barely even acknowledged. In fact, she looked very annoyed to even be on the show in the first place. There was also another very awkward moment when Madonna asked Ian what he does, even though he literally just told her that they were on the same show together once for a charity event in Los Angeles. How dare you disrespect Sir Ian McKellen? In at number 3, Michael Bay.
Crazy ability to put up with Michael Bay.
This has to be all grips on hand with this thing. It is not to move under the tail. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
All right, am I very clear?
Yeah.
Good.
Not only has director Michael Bay been referred to as a major sexist, but he's also worse than the most feared army general in the world. He treats his sets like a war zone and directs his staff like they are his subordinates that need to be put in their place. Not only that, but when you're filming with Michael Bay, you film on his time. He's been known to show up hours late for shoots, and then the moment that his feet touch the ground, it's just go, go, go from there. He wants everything done fast and leaves no room for joking around or contemplating anything, including how his staff may feel after he berated them for hours upon hours with harassing comments. In at number 2, Justin Bieber.
Walk out the goddamn way, man. Damn.
Yes, that was Justin Bieber hitting a photographer in his exotic car, showing zero regard for human life. On top of that heinous video, the star has also been known to spit on people he doesn't like, which sometimes actually include his own fans. While staying at a hotel in Toronto with some friends, Justin took to his balcony where hundreds of people were desperately waiting outside to see a glimpse of the star, although he only emerged to hawk a loogie down towards them. After this disgusting act, the star seemed to be pleased with himself, turning to his group of admiring friends to laugh. His impressed friends then joined in as they all crowded around and took a selfie on his phone, clearly showing all of the people behind them that they just spit on. Gross. Last but certainly not least, on our number one spot, Shia LaBeouf.
They got cameras everywhere, you dummy. I got more millionaire lawyers than you know what to do with, you stupid. I'm from it, you dummy. Okay.
Aside from the way that he treats police officers when he's drunk, Shia has slowly established himself as the rudest man in Hollywood, especially after that debacle at the Academy Awards with his co-star Zach Gottsagen. While Zach was busy making history as the first person with Down syndrome to present an Academy Award, Shia was busy rushing the poor guy through his moment in the sun. Zach understandably had a difficult time doing the kind of back and forth dialogue with Shia LaBeouf, and fans noticed just how impatient the star seemed to be getting with him. One person took to Twitter to express her complaint, saying, "You're on a national stage and you look annoyed at your co-presenter? You're an actor, Shia LaBeouf. At least act like a decent human being." In at number 10, Mel Gibson.
I deserve to be first until I burn the house down. But me first.
What's even more disturbing is that what you just heard was the fourth phone call, and surprisingly enough, that one was the least aggressive out of all of them. The odd thing about Mel Gibson is that throughout the 80s and 90s, he was like a nice and well-respected leading actor. He was becoming well known for movies like Lethal Weapon, and some believe that his ego just started getting a little too big. These vicious voicemails are the result of a drinking problem combined with coping that he was no longer Hollywood's go-to guy. With that much pent-up anger and untreated mental illness, he was destined to be one of the rudest actors in the scene. In at number 9, Jon Hamm.
I have the nerve to not be in love with Jon Hamm.
What happened?
I just think he's like douchey. Like, I've known Hammy since he was a doctor on some Lifetime show.
Say what you will about Kathy Griffin, but I actually feel bad for her in this scenario. Here she is getting invited to an exclusive Hollywood dinner, getting to meet Jack Nicholson for the first time, only to have Jon Hamm right in her ear. No matter who you ask in Hollywood, most people will fawn over how much they adore Jon Hamm, yet Kathy has consistently upheld that he is one of the rudest celebrities that she's ever met. In her memoir, she wrote about how Hamm had repeatedly harassed her at a party for no reason whatsoever. While intoxicated, he called her old and topped it off by saying that her career was a failure. It's no wonder he worked so well as Don Draper in Mad Men, because that's actually who this celebrity embodies most. In at number 8, Christian Bale.
Like this in the background. What the f is it with you?
When this tape leaked, Christian Bale not only had to go on a press tour for his new movie, but an apology tour as well. That Christian Bale rant had so many expletives in it, I was almost certain we wouldn't even be able to use the clip. While filming the Terminator Salvation, a crew member had accidentally walked onto the set, interrupting Bale while he was acting. This sent the celebrity into a downward spiral of anger where the F word suddenly became punctuation for his sentences. He nearly stopped all production on the movie just so that he could release his frustrations on the hard-working film crew. We get that some acting requires intense focus, but regardless, if someone breaks that focus, that doesn't give the actor license to scream at other people. They're humans too. In at number 7, Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones definitely gives off those vibes that he'd be a grumpy old man in real life, but don't take my word for it, listen to Joan and Melissa Rivers, who actually had to come into contact with him.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, no question.
He's at the top of everybody's lists.
Why?
Because he doesn't want to be there. He's unhappy doing the red carpet.
They've had direct interactions with the celebrity, and every time that they're asked this question, they put him as the worst to deal with. Joan has stated before that he acts like a snob because he went to Yale and therefore believes that he's better than everyone else. In at number 6, Sean Penn. Sean Penn is no stranger to letting his true colors shine bright. In 2009, he assaulted a paparazzi and vandalized his car, and he once served 60 days in jail for punching a background actor and had to do 300 hours of community service for kicking another photographer. And then in 2013, while he was at a restaurant in a swanky San Francisco hotel, he witnessed a guy trying to just take a photo of him, and he freaked out again. Is Sean Penn secretly a vampire that doesn't want his soul removed from taking photos? Like, I honestly don't get it. I understand how this could become very annoying after a while, but it still doesn't excuse this kind of disruptive behavior. According to TMZ, he walked over and slammed the man's phone on the table before telling him that he would make him eat his phone. Then as he was being escorted out, he screamed, "Do we look like zoo animals?" Yikes. In at number 5, Jared Leto.
Big ups, man. Yeah, no.
What's your name?
Grinder.
Oh, okay. I'll get.
Jared Leto certainly has had his awkward moments in the press and on stage, as you saw there. Upon looking into interactions with the celebrity, I found multiple articles about how he terrorized the cast and crew of Suicide Squad. He fully committed to the role of the Joker, and it was, well, nasty to say the least. He treated Margot Robbie as if she were Harley Quinn, so imagine that kind of daily dialogue. Plus, he sent her a rat as a gift. And before they even started filming, Leto decided to give everyone on set a gift. Sounds nice, but nope. Viola Davis witnessed the incident and said he did some bad things, Jared Leto did. He gave some really horrific gifts. He had a henchman who would come into the rehearsal room, and the henchman came in with a dead pig and plopped it on the table, and then he walked out. And that was our introduction to Jared Leto. In at number 4, Tobey Maguire. Looks like Tobey becoming Spider-Man was a terrible thing for his ego. Aside from having a terrible reputation with fans who just want autographs, Tobey's rude behavior has even been documented in the memoir called Molly's Game, which was later then turned into a movie with Jessica Chastain. The author Molly Bloom said that Tobey actually offered her a $1,000 poker chip at a high-stakes game in 2014. But there was a catch. She said Maguire told her to bark like a seal. And when she refused, she said Maguire told her, "I'm not kidding. What's wrong? You're too rich now? You won't bark for $1,000? Geez, can't get ruder than that. Or can we?" In at number 3, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Catherine Zeta-Jones apparently really did a number on a young fan of hers way back, and it truly is unforgivable. The woman remembers going to an advanced screening of The Mask of Zorro when she was only 8 years old, and she actually had a chance to interact with Catherine, and she excitedly told the star that she wanted to be an actress as well. The woman then said, "She turned to me, looked me up and down, and said, 'You're pretty enough, I suppose,' then went back to her conversation." The woman went on to claim that in many ways that moment was the turning point when she went from feeling at ease in the world to constantly thinking about how everyone was judging her based on her appearance. Damn it, Zeta-Jones. In at number 2, Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell is a comedian and known for crossing the line a few times, even as she worked as a host for The View. Unfortunately for Rosie, she never really learned to kind of turn off that rude behavior, that attack dog style commentary, and especially when it came to her personal life. According to reports, the reason why she was fired from The View was due to multiple people on set saying that she was far too mean to finish the season with. That was in 2007 and meant that she wouldn't even complete the first season of the show. Rosie did eventually return back to the program later on, but promised that she would be a much calmer version. However, that comeback only lasted 5 months after she released her contract to focus on her family following a divorce with her husband. Entertainment Tonight had interviewed some of the staff that worked with O'Donnell, and here's what they found. O'Donnell, who has a reputation as a demanding and sometimes abrasive boss, didn't feel like her strengths were being properly used by ABC, according to those close to the 52-year-old comedian. Adding to the problem, there was also tensions with co-host Whoopi Goldberg and behind-the-scenes executive turmoil as well, which recently shifted to management under ABC News. Rosie confirmed to be rude. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase is without a doubt a legendary comedic actor, but all of those pratfalls he did in his youth must have really turned him into a grumpy old man. He has earned himself perhaps the worst reputation in Hollywood just from being extremely difficult to work with. I mean, when it works, but most of the time he is a huge pain. When actor and comedian Rob Huebel met Chevy at the Upright Citizens Brigade show, he was so excited that he accidentally interrupted a conversation that he was in. Rob was a longtime fan and just couldn't contain his joy, but Chevy responded by slapping him in the face and then said, "Can't you see I'm talking to somebody, kid?"
Coming in number 10 today, we have Megan Fox. Back in 2009, Transformers star Megan Fox would be branded as dumb, ungracious, rude, and an unbearable actress by crew members of the multi-million-dollar film franchise. As soon as the actor came out to diss the director, Michael Bay, by claiming that he objectified her on the set, the furious crew members who have stayed anonymous would post a long open letter to Megan on the director's official website and signed it as the loyal Transformers crew. In it, they tore into Megan as they labeled her as a second-rate Angelina Jolie who was disliked across the set by her diva-like behavior. The letter has since been removed from the site, but not before thousands of fans saw it. In the letter, the crew would claim that Michael made Megan the next Angelina Jolie, but as time went on, the crew noticed that she was no Angelina because Angelina was professional and Megan was as dumb as a rock in both Transformers movies. The crew also went on to call her the grump of the the set and claimed that she was the most ungracious person anyone could ever fathom. While the crew tried to welcome her, she just became really rude and later twisted the story when she was fired from the set for her poor behavior. Coming at number 9, we have Tom Cruise. Since 2019, film sets have had some pretty strict guidelines to protect everyone working on the set, and while many people were stuck inside, the entertainment industry was the only thing keeping people's hopes and spirits alive. So it was pretty understandable when Tom Cruise caught members of the Mission Impossible 7 set messing around. He expressed his frustrations, but the way he chose to do it was a little out there and really improper. As first reported by The Sun, after Cruise saw two of the members standing too close to one another in front of a computer screen, he told the crew, "If I see you do it again, you're effing gone." In the audio obtained by The Sun, Cruise could be heard saying, "We are the gold standard. They're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us, because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every effing studio at night, insurance companies, producers, and they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you mother effers. I don't ever want to see it again, ever." Cruise took the 2019 situation seriously, and that's why he was so strict about enforcing the guidelines on set and scowled the crew for taking advantage of the safe environment that the team in place helped create. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, Lea Michele. It seems like Lea Michele was such a complete diva on the set of Glee that she had zero respect when it came to her cast and crew members. The actor who has been at the center of racism after she was called out by former co-star Samantha Ware on Twitter, Ima Edwards, who was featured in the 6th season on the series, then come out to say that she heard from multiple people that Lea called extras cockroaches behind the scenes. While Lea went on to treat many of her co-stars and crew members poorly, they would even describe working with Lea was like working in their own personal hell, and it really made them question their jobs in the entertainment industry. It's also been said that Michelle even treated the crew members poorly, as she would micromanage the set and tell people how to do their jobs, and she would even throw tantrums and hold sets up for hours, forcing crew and co-stars to work long-hour days. Number 7, Christian Bale. During the production of the 2009 sequel Terminator Salvation film, lead actor Christian Bale would be caught on tape having a meltdown. Just a few months after the film debuted, the audio recording would surface, and it was clear that it was made without the actor's knowledge, as he was shocked to know he was exposed by an unnamed person on the set. In the audio, Christian could be heard going off on the film's cinematographer Shane Hurlbut, who had walked onto the scene to check a light during the filming of a scene. This apparently was the second time that he had done it, and Bale became incensed, hitting Shane with a handful of F-bombs as he threatened to smash his lighting equipment if he did it one more time. What made matters worse is that Christian even threatened to quit the film if Shane committed this offense one more time without being fired. For Shane, on his part, he was very apologetic, but then again, he couldn't get into a shouting match with the film star and not get fired. Christian would then later come out apologizing for the incident, but the two haven't worked on the same project since. Number 6, Katherine Heigl. Katherine Heigl was at the height of her career when she joined Grey's Anatomy. However, after she decided to leave the show, it seems like the star would find herself blacklisted from sets due to her poor behavior. With cast and crew members back in 2007, Katherine would badmouth her own movie Knocked Up, which would prove that she was really hard to work with. However, it wouldn't be until 2008 when Katherine would really burn all her bridges in Hollywood after she was nominated for an Emmy and withdrew her name for consideration because she felt like the Grey's Anatomy season didn't give her enough material to be nominated. She would then come out to say in a statement that she didn't feel like she was given enough material to warrant an Emmy nomination. In an effort to maintain the integrity of the Academy organization, she was withdrawing her name, and the whole world would be shocked. But an Emmy nomination is an Emmy, and if you feel like you aren't given enough material, you still take the nomination, because sometimes these nominations only come around once in your lifetime, and some people never even find themselves being nominated. Since the Grey's Anatomy creator Shonda Rhimes has been greatly offended, and fans have been totally turned off by Katherine's behavior, as Shonda worked really hard for her show, and this Emmy nomination was a big deal. Number 5, Thomas Gibson. Actor Thomas Gibson would find himself being fired from the CBS drama Criminal Minds in 2016 after 11 seasons in the wake of an on-set altercation with a producer. ABC Studios and CBS TV Studios would then come out to say in a statement that Thomas was was dismissed from Criminal Minds and that his character's exit would be addressed in the show at a later date. With Gibson's character only appearing in 2 episodes that year, the actor was set to never appear in a show again after the studio conducted an internal review of an incident that alleged Thomas kicked a producer on the show, who TMZ identified to be Virgil Williams. It's also been said in the past Thomas has been known to have violent outbursts. This even included one with an assistant director in 2010 who claims Thomas shoved him. This behavior would then result in the studio to send Thomas to anger management classes. However, after the studio realized even the classes weren't working with Thomas's behavior, they decided just to let him go from the show altogether. Number 4. Mike Myers. While The Cat in the Hat was a children's show we all enjoyed watching come to life, apparently Mike Myers made the reality a daily nightmare for the cast and crew members. Amy Hill would then come out to describe how bad it actually was to work with Mike. Not only would Mike be rude to the cast and crew, but he actually would have them sit around all day waiting for him to show up on set. He also made the set hire someone to follow him around while he was in a cat costume and feed him chocolates. Whenever he needed the chocolate, the guy would run over and hand feed the chocolates to him on the set. Well, one can only imagine what it would look like to see a grown man in a costume running around a set being fed chocolates by another human being. I can only imagine what the snack wrangler would put on their resume to describe that very job. Number 3. Christina Aguilera. Sources close to the Voice production team have claimed that Christina Aguilera was nothing but a woman of people, as she was extremely rude to both the crew and the fans on the show. The sources would also say that Christina didn't want anyone to get close to her. If someone went to shake her hand, she would even yell at them not to touch her. While it's not uncommon for celebrities to want their personal space, Christina was just taking things a little too far when she started to freak out and yell at people to get out of her space, but they were only just standing in the same room as her. The crew also went on to note that it was actually pretty unpleasant to work with the diva, as she was really demanding and told everyone they should respect her. While the crew tried to deal with the situation the best they could, Christina just kept continuing to go on and ruin her image with her resentless, wicked witch vibe. While the crew didn't want to hate her, they would state out of all the artists they have worked with, she seemed to be the least pleasant and compassionate out of all the bunch, and it was disheartening. Number 2. Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller is one of the few major celebrities that you rarely hear anything good or bad about, but maybe that's because he's secretly just a wonderful man and likes to keep his bad behavior on the down low. However, many people who have claimed Ben Stiller is great to work with, the Inquirer would draw a portrait that wasn't so full of sunshine and rainbows. While Ben was working on the set of The Little Fockers, he definitely got on someone's bad side, as the cast and crew made some pretty disturbing allegations when it came to his behavior. Apparently, when working on the set, Ben would earn the nickname Little Focker, as he alienated most of the cast and crew on the film in his vain, self-absorbed behavior, and when he wasn't obsessing over his looks, he would be throwing temper tantrums and screaming at the underlings. Ben even would go on to fire an assistant director and demanded star treatment for his entourage, personal chefs, hair and makeup minders, and refused to interact with the underlings unless it was to yell at them. His ego has gone off the charts, and he even went off on a female director for a perceived mistake and screamed at the top of his lungs that he never wanted to work with her again before storming off the set. He then refused to come back until she was gone, and the set let her go the next day and brought in a male replacement to appease Ben. And coming in number 1 today, we have Bill Murray. In April, Bill Murray's film would be shut down for an investigation into his alleged inappropriate behavior. That set a dark tone amid a resurface on set stories that kept Hollywood whispering for decades. In 1991, it said that Disney was even forced to hire bodyguards to protect the cast and crew of the 1991's What About Bob film, after the actor hurled a glass ashtray at Richard Dreyfuss and threatened to throw a female producer across a parking lot. Despite his enduring status of being a beloved Hollywood bad boy, Murray has repeatedly been accused of violently clashing with his co-stars, from butt-heading to inexcusable and unacceptable language on numerous sets, stretching all the way back to the 1970s. It's even been said after multiple outbursts on on the What About Bob set, everyone would walk off production and fly back to LA, and the film only resumed after Disney hired some bodyguards to physically separate Bill from his co-stars and crew members in between takes.
In at number 10, culturally insensitive. Jennifer got into a massive scandal after she admitted to being insensitive to the Hawaiian culture. Basically, Jen was filming the Hunger Games in Hawaii, and in the movie she wears wetsuits a lot, which can get pretty itchy. So in 2016 on the Graham Norton show, she admitted that she'd scratched her butt on some sacred ceremonial rocks while filming in Hawaii. She said, quote, "There were sacred rocks. I don't know, they were ancestors, who knows? They were sacred, and you're not supposed to sit on them because you're not supposed to expose your genitalia to them. I, however, was in a wetsuit for this whole shoot. Oh my god, they were so good for butt itching." Apparently, she moved the rock so much at one point one came loose and started a landslide. The Hawaiian people thought it was a sign of a curse, but it was just Jen being disrespectful. She tried to be funny and relatable while telling the story and didn't think she would get in any trouble, but people were angry at how nonchalantly she admitted to disrespecting Hawaii. After the backlash, she posted an apology to Facebook, but many didn't buy it. And at number 9, weight insensitivity. One thing many fans know about Jen is that she speaks off the cuff and rarely filters out what she says, which can cause a lot of funny moments as well as a lot of insensitive ones. One thing she gets steady backlash about is her comments about her own weight. Jen has been open about the toxicity of weight in Hollywood and says that she was often asked to lose weight before movies. Because of this, she's been quoted saying, quote, "In Hollywood, I'm obese. I'm considered a fat actress. I'm Val Kilmer in that one picture on the beach." Another quote said, quote, "I eat like a caveman. I'll be the only actress that doesn't have anorexia rumors." Many people take these comments to be body positive, and although we love that she won't lose weight for movies, she's also already pretty slender, so giving the middle finger to the man here is a lot easier for her. And when someone the size of Jen calls herself fat, that makes anyone larger than her feel even more insecure about their own weight. Like if Jen calls herself overweight, literally what am I? I know it's all jokes, but the self-deprecation can seem pretty insincere at times. And at number 8, biphobic comments. Another thing that's gotten Jen heat in the press has been some biphobic comments that she made about one of the characters she played. She played X-Men character Mystique in the movie franchise, and was shocked to learn that the character was actually bisexual. When speaking about the character's sexuality, she said, quote, "She has kids, she has night crawlers, and she sleeps with Magneto. Unless I'm completely wrong, I mean, she's 100 years old, she definitely had time for a lesbian phase." And obviously that phrase is gonna anger a lot of people in the community who've been working hard to break those stigmas, especially because bisexuality is not a phase. Jen also called her own style at one point, quote, "slutty power lesbian," because she had a pixie haircut, which is just wrong on so many levels. And at number 7, trash reporter. Jennifer Lawrence got massive backlash after she was rude to a reporter at the 2016 Golden Globes. After she accepted the award, she was in the press room answering questions from tons of reporters. At one point, a Spanish reporter who was speaking with an accent started asking a question, but he was looking at his phone the whole time. Jennifer tried to joke around by telling the reporter to put down his phone if he wanted to ask her questions. She also mocked him after he mistook the event for the Oscars. However, it was pretty obvious that he was just reading his questions off his phone, which is pretty common for reporters these days. After her rude comments, hate flooded in against the star. People also gave the perspective that the reporter may have been translating his questions into English, that's why he was staring at his phone. It also just rubbed people the wrong way that she assumed that everyone speaks English. And at number 6, paparazzi. Like many other celebrities in Hollywood, Jennifer Lawrence hates paparazzi. But really, I mean, who can blame her? And she makes a point to bring up her disdain for paparazzi whenever possible. Like in one interview with Vogue, where she said, quote, "If I were just your average 23-year-old girl and I called the police to say that there were strange men sleeping on my lawn and following me to Starbucks, they would leap into action. But because I'm a famous person, well, sorry ma'am, there's nothing we can do. It makes no sense." Jen has also talked about how she doesn't like fame and how fan interactions make her really uncomfortable. So that's obviously a big part of the reason that she maintains such a low profile most of the time. Halfway at number 5, Lindsay Lohan. Jennifer Lawrence has poked fun at many fellow celebrities over the years, but none was worse than when she made some nasty comments about Lindsay Lohan. While Jennifer Lawrence was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert in 2015, Lawrence offended Lindsay Lohan and her family. It started when Lawrence was talking about how she got a stomach virus while filming, but she still kept shooting. Then she made the comment, quote, quote, "I get like Lindsay Lohan grade exhaustion, but without any drugs or alcohol." And obviously those kinds of words will start a fight with anybody. Almost right after the show aired, Lohan's younger sister, Aliana, tweeted out, quote, "I never breathe life into negativity, but I stand by my family. Disappointed in Jennifer Lawrence, not cool." Lindsay Lohan then replied to the tweet saying, quote, "Thank you, sister. Maybe who you're referring to should learn to support others like Maya Angelou." Lohan's mom also commented on the incident weeks later, so it's safe to say Lohan's family and fans hate Jennifer Lawrence. And at number 4, Lala Kent. This is another example of Jen talking trash about a fellow celebrity and then getting called out. While Jen was on an episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, she decided to take aim at Vanderpump Rules star Lala Kent. It started when Andy was asking Jennifer what she thought of the cast of Vanderpump Rules. When the conversation went to Lala, Lauren straight up called her the C word, along with tons of other digs at her. As a response, Lala tweeted out, quote, "Did Jennifer Lawrence really call me the C word on Watch What Happens Live and talk about my mama? B, you better pray I don't see you in the streets." And that was just the first of a long string of now deleted tweets. The shade didn't stop there. Lala went on the Juicy Scoop podcast and called out Jennifer further. She said that Lawrence had, quote, 2 failed films in a row, and said that she was the type of girl that would sleep with Harvey Weinstein for a role. Lawrence never responded to any of the shade, probably because she knew she was in the wrong. And at number 3, Jennifer Lopez. I wouldn't classify this one as rude as much as just proving that Jennifer Lawrence can be very over dramatic. The feud started when Lawrence was on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and Lawrence shared a story from the Met Ball. Apparently Jennifer Lawrence and Jimmy Kimmel were very drunk and wanted to ask J-Lo to dance. Apparently they went over to her and she turned them down, with Lopez saying she just wanted to observe. And even though the story was lighthearted, it still made J-Lo look kinda bad for saying no. So J-Lo decided to set the record straight, and she actually came up with her version of events. She told Access Hollywood, quote, "I remember that we were at the Met Ball and Kanye was about to perform, and it was like a crazy moment. And then they came over and they were like, let's go dance, and I was like, no, I'm good right here. But I didn't mean it like I don't want to dance with you, I just meant it like it's so crowded in here, let's just stay right here." So she basically called out J-Lo on TV for no reason. And at number 2, rude to fans. Probably one of the most bizarre things about Jennifer Lawrence is that she's admitted that she hates speaking to fans. It's so bad that she's decided to be really rude to fans so they leave her alone. Interesting strategy. When speaking with Adam Sandler, she told him, quote, "Generally once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. I turn into a huge a-hole." She then continued that it's her way of defending herself, and that she acts like this to make sure nobody crosses any boundaries. And just to contrast how terrible Jen sounded here, Adam Sandler said he makes a point to be really nice to his fans, saying, quote, "My life's nearing the end. I want to meet as many people as I can." And finally, number 1, hurricane. Jennifer Lawrence has become increasingly more political over the years, and she was frequently critical of Donald Trump during his presidency. However, she got some heat after she made some comments about hurricanes. From the quotes that were taken, it seemed like Jennifer Lawrence was blaming the influx of hurricanes on Trump's win, saying that Mother Nature was raging. She was harshly criticized for the comments, so she posted a statement about the incident on her Facebook page. She wrote in part, quote, "My remarks were taken grossly out of context. Obviously, I never claimed that President Trump was responsible for these tragic hurricanes. That is a silly and preposterous headline that is unfortunate, because it detracts from the millions of lives that are being impacted by these devastating storms and the recent earthquakes."
Number 10, sit better. The Duchess of Sussex accompanied her new hubby Harry to the Queen's Young Leaders Awards, which honors youngsters from across the Commonwealth. The event was streamed on the royal family's Facebook page, meaning that the entire world could see this event live. But one royal fan was shocked by something that she spotted, which was the way that Meghan was sitting. But not just sitting, she's sitting with her legs crossed. While this just seems like Meghan getting comfortable to, most people, the proper way to sit in the royal family is to sit with knees touching and the hands on the knees. Instead, she just crossed her legs, and someone online was very quick to point it out. Not only was this disrespectful in general, but she was photographed sitting next to the Queen, literally dissing the woman right to her face. Now, I'm not big into the royal family, but I've been told this is very rude in their eyes, so bad Meghan. Number 9, rude to royal staff. According to former employees that were unfortunate enough to work for Meghan while still living with the royal family, Meghan had a bit of a temper, especially when it came to the people who make her life easier. According to one caterer, Meghan and himself got into a heated debate after her vegan food was being delivered to her wedding. Meghan was in the middle of tasting a couple of dishes for the big day when she suddenly became very upset. According to the royal expert Katie Nicole, she was told by a source that Meghan tasted an egg in the dish that led to a very tense exchange. According to the source, the Queen actually had to calm Meghan down and told her that they did not speak to people that way in this family. The moment was recounted in the book The New Royals. Many behind-the-scenes secrets were revealed, with many examples of Meghan's misdeeds being put on paper for the rest of eternity. celebrity. Number 8. Videographer diva. An industry videographer who worked closely with Meghan Markle before she met the prince revealed that she was already called princess in her Hollywood days for her difficult and demanding behavior on set. According to the cameraman, Meghan was known for bringing large entourages on set with her and laid down a strict set of rules for everyone involved with the production. The biggest was do not shoot her feet. Big no-no. Her feet became a hot topic of conversation after she took off her shoes during a royal tour in New Zealand in 2018, revealing what many thought was a scar from a bunion removal operation. It became apparent to the cameraman and the rest of the crew that she despised her own feet. Another man, a photographer, backed this story up by recounting a photo shoot that took place in 2015. Meghan was reportedly intense and turned up with an entourage of 12 people strong. The photographer, who wished to remain anonymous, said that they were warned about Meghan's behavior. Apparently, she showed up in disguise all of the time, and from the moment that she would enter the set, her attitude and demeanor was just plain rude. Number 7. Greeting mourners. The Duchess of Sussex, say that 10 times fast, was greeting mourners stationed outside of Windsor Castle on September 10th with her husband Prince Harry and the Prince and Princess of Wales when the incident unfolded. In footage that was wildly shared to Twitter, aka X, Meghan could be seen holding up a bunch of pink roses and talking to the crowd when an aide speaks to her from behind. The Duchess can be seen whirling around quickly with what many people claim to be an extremely annoyed face. Could just be how it sits, but she did look pretty angry. Meghan spoke to the aide for a moment, pointing and waggling about when she snaps back, smiles, and nods. While of course there was never any word on what exactly was said or why it was said in such a snappy way, there might be a little bit of insight on that. According to one freelance journalist who claimed to be there, shed some light on the conversation that took place. Apparently Meghan just didn't want to hand her flowers over to the aide, simple as that, but she snapped in a very inappropriate setting, so maybe keep your composure next time. Number 6. Missing the king's coronation. When Charles was turned into a king earlier this year, many fans of the royal family were curious to see what the Duke and Duchess would do. Well, it turns out that while both Harry and Meghan were invited to the event, Meghan decided that she didn't like the king's reaction to her wishing to attend. After an interview that took place on Oprah in 2021, the royal family had been living on very thin ice. The king did not appreciate all of the dirty laundry being aired out for the world to see. Not to mention the fact that the couple were in the process of creating a Netflix documentary. While their PR team has claimed that the idea of Meghan actually snubbing the king is ludicrous, the proof was right there. Not only were there letters that proved that there was at least a conversation that took place, but Meghan not attending the event was a massive red flag. One of Meghan's biggest issues with the situation was that the invitation sent to them never included the children. Number 5. The Prince William altercation. So it turns out that these two are the original snubbers of this couple, being one of the several reasons that they decided to leave the royal family in the first place. According to their book, Meghan and Harry were deeply unhappy in their last year and discussed wanting something to change with the Queen and Prince Charles, who is now the king. This was before they took their infamous trip to Canada, where they officially started plotting their exit from Britain. According to the book, William was furious with his brother's decision, especially the way that he was handling things. So during the little time that they continued to live in Britain, William and Kate were basically ignoring them at every single moment on every single day. Meghan was doing the exact same thing, but I don't know, it's kind of justified. Snubbing them on every carpet in the house. The most notable snub that took place on camera, however, is when the four of them all met at the gates of Windsor Castle, where Meghan and Kate have the briefest exchange, but it's just filled with icy glares and just anger before they snap back into photo mode. We're not 100% sure what happened behind the scenes there, but Meghan really does not like these people. Number 4. Judge Judy. Now I know what you're thinking, what in the name of all that is good in this world does Judge Judy have to do with the royal family? Well, let me tell you. When Harry released the memoir Spare, Judge Judy took to the talk show Good Morning Britain to express her hatred for the piece, claiming that if she were in a similar situation as the Queen at the time, she'd also be very furious. She went on to say that the idea of writing a book that shares intimate details to the public that they do not need to know is ludicrous, and anyone with a brain would see it's disingenuous. Meghan was asked to weigh in on Judy's harsh words, but during a phone call with her PR team, she called Judge Judy a hack and told her to get a life. At least that's what the PR team said. I've never spoken to Meghan, so who knows? Number 3. documentary. Netflix finally released all 6 episodes of the Harry and Meghan documentary, which was a documentary showcasing their lives as royals and the secrets that they keep. The series sparked massive amounts of backlash and controversy though, the main gripe being that the information they are sharing with the audience is info that they either already knew or stuff that just was not that interesting. The internet flooded with hate for this couple, especially towards Meghan Markle. The documentary only made her look like more of a diva than she had already been reported to be. The documentary was just an excuse to get hers and Harry's faces on Netflix. She's already been in several projects, but it's not enough. Clips shown on the series showcase her rude behavior time and time again. While the documentary was meant to be a way to paint the ex-royals in a new light, it ended up making them look like massive jerks. Number 2. Spotify. Only a few months after announcing their exit from the royal family, Meghan Markle announced that herself and Harry had signed a multi-year deal with Spotify to make a podcast. They claimed the show was designed to help build a community through shared experiences, narratives, and values. Their announcement did not include how much the couple was going to get paid though, which ended up being a modest $20 million. It's just your average everyday paycheck, you know, I get 21 every 2 weeks here. However, from the moment this thing kicked off the grounds, Spotify had grown reportedly frustrated with the couple's content and lack of productivity. According to the executives at Spotify, the couple were taking way too long to actually build up a team to make their episodes. There wasn't even a real structure to how things were going to be recorded. 6 months later, they produced one 33-minute holiday special. 6 months for 33 minutes, way to go. Many people started to question what was going on behind the scenes. In that 33 minutes, guests like Elton John, Deepak Chopra, Stacey Abrams, and a few others popped up to say hello, so why not just sit down with each and every one of those people for an hour straight? That's a podcast right there, so many people do it. Nothing came after this episode for almost an entire year, but eventually they hired an audio lead. Several people denied her requests to join the podcasts, like Taylor Swift, but the list is endless. Despite releasing regular episodes, the team posted on social media claiming all credit should go to the underpaid and undervalued producers. Apparently Meghan was very rude behind the scenes and extremely demanding. Shocker. Spotify eventually decided to cancel her show for a few reasons, but mainly it was because they spent a year of their deal doing absolutely nothing. Despite the success that the show eventually received, Meghan got canned for good, and some tells me that her attitude had a lot to do with it. And at number 1, Frogmore Cottage. The Duke and Duchess have lost their home base in the UK, Frogmore Cottage, which was the last home available to them. The cottage sits on 33 acres of land and was a regular vacation spot for the couple. But since having their home taken away, many rumors have circulated claiming that this might have been a result of some kind of behind-the-scenes feud. According to an insider close to Meghan, the couple were actually involved in a bit of a dramatic situation with the groundskeeper of the property. The specifics were never divulged, but the information released says that it was enough for the property to be taken back and for their deed to just be shredded. Many see this as justice being served. Meghan was under the assumption that because she's royalty, she can speak to anyone any way she wants. Well, hey, next time be nicer to the guy who holds the keys to your house.
In at number 10, Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato got tons of backlash after she tried to cancel a small business because she didn't like the products that they were selling. Demi decided to grab some frozen yogurt from a popular froyo place in LA called The Big Chill. But she wasn't happy with what she saw while in the shop and shared her disdain with her over 100 million Instagram followers, writing on her story, quote, finding it extremely hard to order froyo from The Big Chill when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies / other diet foods before you get to the counter. Do better, please. Adding the hashtag diet culture vultures. This caused an online feud between Demi and the shop, where Demi called them diet vultures, while they said they were just selling products for their broad customer base, which includes diabetics, celiac, and vegans. The general consensus around this whole event is that Demi is an entitled Karen, and she needs to realize that the world does not revolve around her. Of course, her anger was spurred from her long struggle with food issues. However, she should not have publicly tried to ruin a small business, especially during a pandemic. And at number 9, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan gained a reputation for being rude during a scandal with Meghan Markle, and there's actually a dating story behind it that makes the whole thing even more juicy. So apparently Piers asked Morgan out on a date before she was with Harry, of course. And rumor has it that they went out on the date, but Meghan ghosted Piers after, so this could be the reason that he is constantly critical of her. More recently, after Meghan's explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, Piers did not hold back trashing her on Good Morning Britain. Before him and the other hosts could even discuss the topic, he went on raging about how the interview is tarnishing the reputation of Britain around the world and hurting everything the Queen has worked so so hard for. He also said that he doesn't believe a word that she says. He later left the show after outrage against his comments. In at number 8, James Corden. James Corden seems really nice on camera, but is well known for being awful off set. His rep is so bad that he did a Reddit AMA in 2019, and it practically turned into a roasting session, with tons of people bringing up terrible encounters they had with Corden. Apparently, he goes out of his way to be mean, like advocating for lower pay for TV writers. Literally, why would a rich celebrity ever do that? I have no idea. Apparently, Corden is also known to be rude when fans ask for photos or an autograph with him, especially if he's on set filming. Members of his crew have also claimed that he throws tantrums over minor things and is terrible to work for. He's basically the male version of Ellen. In at number 7, David Letterman. Several old interview clips of David Letterman's have resurfaced recently, and many are saying that he crossed major lines. One example was with Lindsay Lohan from 2013. She did the interview recently at a rehab, and Letterman persistently asked her questions about it. Even though she said many times during the interview that she didn't want to talk about it, he still kept pressing, leading her to cry. Next up was Janet Jackson. Letterman was pressing her about her infamous Super Bowl incident, asking her questions about how the wardrobe malfunction came to be. Right after she was asked about it, she replied, quote, "I don't want to relive any of that." But Letterman kept asking while Jackson looked very sad. And in both of these cases and more, Letterman was definitely rude to his guests and crossed major lines with them when they couldn't stand up for themselves. In at number 6, John Mayer. John Mayer is known for his sensual songs about love, but the image that you have of him in your head is probably not true, and he's actually pretty rude in real life. Mayer has spoken poorly about a lot of women that he's dated, including Jessica Simpson and Jennifer Aniston, both of whom still hold grudges to this day. And he said some pretty nasty things about women in general as well, making very inappropriate comments about women, and even going so far as to say that he only finds white women attractive and literally no one else. And speaking of all that, John has also used a lot of racial slurs in the past, saying the N-word with the hard R on a few occasions, and he actually never even apologized. So yeah, remember that next time you hear him on the radio. Halfway at number 5, Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams basically trashes most celebrities on her show and has a reputation for taking low blows when talking about celebrities. She's made enemies out of practically everyone in the business for her mean-spirited rants. One person she has savagely gone after is Meghan Markle. When Harry and Meghan first got together, she said, quote, "There's way too much drama with her and this will not work out." When the two later got married and Meghan became a royal, Wendy said on her show that Meghan, quote, "weaseled her way into the kingdom." Then when Wendy was talking about the documentary Harry and Meghan: An African Journey, Meghan spoke about how she was warned that she should stay away from Harry, as the tabloids would ruin her life. But Wendy didn't buy that and said, quote, "Yes, you did. You knew exactly what you were doing. Please don't try to garner sympathy from us." In at number 4, Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson has just made enemies out of the Paul brothers after he publicly trashed Jake Paul during his boxing stream. Before the Jake Paul-Ben Askren fight, Davidson, who was the host, went viral several times for mocking Paul during backstage segments. At one point, Davidson even asked a question that ended up getting bleeped in the broadcast. Many believe it was related to the recent claims by a woman that Jake forced himself on her. Later, Davidson also said that he should be in jail. After the fight, Jake and the entire Paul family trashed Davidson, with Jake saying that Pete will not be invited back to host. Jake's dad even said at one point, quote, "Can I fight that piece of shit?" And at number 3, Michael Bay. Not only has director Michael Bay been referred to as a major sexist by celebrities like Megan Fox, he probably doesn't mind, as celebrities speculate that he wants a dictator-like reputation on set. Apparently, he treats his set like a war zone and directs his staff like they're his subordinates that need to be put in place. But he doesn't keep those strict rules for himself, and he's been known to show up hours late for shoots, and then the moment his feet touch the ground, it's go, go, go from there. He basically wants everything done very fast and leaves no room for joking around or even contemplating anything. His staff has also claimed that he berates them for hours and hours on set with harassing comments. In at number 2, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber has done some insane stuff over the years, like almost running over a photographer in one of his cars. He's done other controversial stuff like spit over a crowd of adoring fans. This happened in Toronto. Justin took to his balcony where hundreds of people were desperately waiting outside to see a glimpse of the star. But when Justin came out, he actually spat on them. Him and his wife also don't seem to have thick skin and have been known to sue people on TikTok who expose things about them that they don't like one plastic surgeon who exposed what procedures that he thought Hailey had done. And finally, at number 1, Michael Jordan. I actually didn't know this before, but apparently Michael Jordan is one of the rudest and meanest celebrities out there. Rapper Chamillionaire exposed a story of when Jordan was incredibly rude to him. The rapper met Jordan at a party and wanted a picture and autograph with him, which Jordan refused. Chamillionaire said that Jordan told him, quote, "I'm not taking pictures with anybody." everybody. Then when the rapper tried to explain that he was a huge fan and had just purchased a $7,000 commemorative Michael Jordan jersey, Jordan replied saying, quote, "You know what? I'll tell you what, I'll pay you $15,000 right now for a jersey from me and I'll take a picture with you." Jordan is known to be a businessman, but that is just ridiculous, especially after he had already bought a jersey. Like, that's crazy. Jordan was also apparently banned from a Miami country club because he was rude to an official when he was confronted about what he was wearing. Jordan's team later released a statement saying, quote, "I guess it's their loss, as MJ is a great golfer and a great guest."
At number 10, James Franco. It's no longer a surprise to anyone that James is a bad dude, but his misdeeds date back to 2005. James and Tyrese Gibson starred opposite each other in a 2005 dramatic piece called Annapolis. The story follows Franco's character wanting to attend the titular Naval Academy and entering into a boxing tournament against some of the Navy's best and brightest. His main opponent is Tyrese Gibson. Throughout the majority of filming, James and Tyrese would regularly practice the choreography for the final fight of the film. Now, method acting is one thing when you just pretend to be someone else all the time, but it's different when you're literally punching your co-star for real. Instead of the normal film choreography allowing actors to fake hit each other, Franco was throwing real punches without warning. Gibson tried to be civil at first and asked him to lighten up, but Franco ignored him and continued to box his heart out. When asked about the incident in interviews, Franco defended himself by saying he was aware he made the set difficult at times and claimed to be so wrapped up in his role that he probably wasn't as friendly as he could be. Gibson, however, holds a massive grudge towards Franco, claiming he'd never step foot in the same room as him ever again. Good news for Tyrese, James got cancelled and Fast 11 comes out soon. At number 9, Bill Murray. Sony's first foray into the world of Charlie's Angels was a massive success when it was released, starring Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the Angels. The movie was filled with action, a bit of comedy, and one of the strangest performances ever delivered by Crispin Glover. Oh my god, that guy needs help. One interesting addition to the cast was the inclusion of Ghostbusters alumni Bill Murray as the man behind the mic, Bosley. Apparently, the set was anything but a comedy after Bill found out a scene was rewritten without his knowledge. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke about her time on set and the situation surrounding Bill's outburst. Apparently, he was away for a family event when a scene needed to be reshot for the film. Instead of using a stand-in, it was decided that the scene could be filmed without Murray's character being involved, so the scene went on without him. When he returned to find the change was made while he was gone, he was furious. He reportedly shouted at half the crew, including Lucy herself. At first, she wasn't sure why he was aiming his comments at her. She didn't write the scene, she wasn't the director. She asked if Bill was talking to her, which sent him into a full-blown meltdown. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior on set, and he was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy is proud for speaking her mind despite being a relatively unknown actress at the time, and is glad that Bill's career seems to have suffered for it, because Lucy was just the first of many celebs to comment on his behavior, but let's save that for another time. At number 8, Jennifer Aniston. In 2010, Elle asked actor Jay Moore to describe his most awkward interaction with a female celebrity. Moore responded with a blind item that involved a certain leading lady who was upset to learn that he would be playing her love interest. This mystery diva reportedly yelled, "You've got to be kidding me," right to his face. He then revealed that the behavior that followed led to Moore regularly, quote, "go to my mom's house and cry." Asked if the actress happened to be Aniston, who played his love interest in the 1997 film Picture Perfect, Moore said he will never ever answer that. Well, on his More Stories podcast, he did answer that. Moore claimed Aniston pointed right at him on the first day of rehearsal and screamed, "6 guys they screen test. 6. The one effing guy I hate, that's the guy they hire." This apparently went on the entire day as Aniston kept bad-mouthing him to their co-star. Regardless of what really happened on that Picture Perfect soundstage, Moore has apparently never forgiven Aniston. In 2016, Sports Illustrated asked what was more satisfying, kissing Jen Aniston or firing Tom Cruise's character in Jerry Maguire. Moore answered, without question, firing Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is hotter. At number 7, Jennifer Lopez. The 2020 Super Bowl saw 2 pop icons taking the stage and making the night about them and not football. Shakira and Jennifer Lopez appeared together. They absolutely slayed, and their performance has gone down in history as the most memorable and shimmy-filled night in the NFL. Unfortunately, Jennifer did not want to share the stage. Following the show, as a part of her Netflix documentary Halftime, it was revealed that she was extremely annoyed at the NFL NFL for forcing her to share the stage when she felt strong enough on her own, literally calling it the worst idea in the world. Her main concern was the fact that herself and Shakira were meant to occupy and share the same amount of stage time as a normal solo act rather than doubling it like she assumed would happen. Solo artists are normally given between 12 and 16 minutes of stage time, with most artists using that time to do a mashup of their most popular songs. In the documentary, a clip revealed that Jennifer yelled at her music director, complaining that she had 6 effing minutes, 30 seconds per song. Not enough. The worst idea is putting multiple people on the stage. To prove her wrong, one of the most recent performances on the Super Bowl stage saw 6 major artists share the 12-minute spot. Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar were all able to make it work and work well, but Jen couldn't even fathom the 6 minutes she had to perform. At number 6, Jared Leto. Jared Leto has been a problematic figure in the world of Hollywood throughout a majority of his career. After first gaining notoriety for portraying the character of Lane Dixon alongside Dennis Quaid and Danny Glover, Leto quickly began building up his acting repertoire with roles in iconic films like Mr. Nobody, Girl Interrupted, and even taking a turn as the Clown Prince of Darkness, the Joker, in the 2016 film The Suicide Squad, which landed him a spot on this list. Jared has always taken method acting to the extreme, losing and gaining weight rapidly over and over again. It was this film in which he may have snapped. While playing the iconic Batman villain, Leto purposefully distanced himself from his fellow actors on set, and reports are that he sent his castmates used adult toys. At one point during filming, Captain Boomerang actor Jay Courtney found a live snake in his trailer following a long shooting day. The snake wasn't venomous, but I think we can all agree that's a big ol' nope. In recent years, he's claimed that any gifts sent to his castmates were sent with the intent of joy and excitement and were received as such. I don't know, exposing your fellow actors to your bodily fluids and actual snakes doesn't sound very exciting to me. At number 5, Wesley Snipes. Ryan Reynolds is known for many things. He's got his toes dipped into the world of adult beverages, wireless cell phone coverage, and he's even a soccer coach. One of his most iconic roles as an actor is, of course, Mr. Deadpool himself. However, in 2008, Ryan was a part of a different Marvel movie. As some may know, the original Marvel movie that started this whole live-action comics trend was the Blade trilogy, starring Wesley Snipes as the titular vampire hunter. By the time of the 3rd film of the franchise rolled around, Wesley Snipes was just done with working on set. He hated the way the franchise was turning out, and all of his creative suggestions were quickly shut down. His main problem, though, was the fact that Blade Trinity was written as a straight-up comedy movie. The previous entries were dark action movies filled with gore and some pretty stellar fight sequences, so when Van Wilder was cast to be his co-star, he gave up. He famously refused to film several scenes unless he was allowed to keep his shades on, and apparently he was micro-napping during scenes because he just didn't care anymore. Ryan played a big part in his difficulty enjoying the shoot, making it his mission to make Wesley snap. He would constantly do bits, push things too far, just the general Ryan Reynolds chaos that we're used to at this point. At the end of the day, Blade Trinity ended up burying the franchise and was one of the most chaotic and toxic film sets of 2004. At number 4, Kiefer Sutherland. The man, known for his roles in movies like Lost Boys and Stand By Me, has built a nice little place for himself in Hollywood. For a long time, he was starring in the crime drama 24. Many celebrities have made small cameos and recurring roles on the show, but in 2010, Scooby-Doo actor Freddie Prinze Jr. was cast as Agent Cole Ortiz. Despite the massive success of the show, the job left him scarred, admitting that he hated every moment of it. According to Freddie, Kiefer is the most unprofessional dude in the world. Continuing to say that he wasn't talking trash, this was something he would happily say to Kiefer's face, and apparently a ton of his co-stars agree that he makes filming a living nightmare. Following the end of his character's time on the show, he did slow down in the acting world, now limiting himself to voiceover and cameo roles. The odd thing was that while there were some backing up Freddie's story, there were a higher number of defenders for Sutherland, claiming the exact opposite experience. Some say he's the most professional man in the world, so if anyone watching this knows Kiefer, weigh in. Are you Team Kiefer good or Kiefer bad? At number 3, Alyssa Milano. Alright, so let's talk about the show Charmed for a moment, a solid series that was on the air for almost 10 years. The series followed 3 sisters who discovered they were descendants of a line of good female witches and are destined to fight against the forces of evil. Yeah, it was a fun show, however, just because you play sisters on set doesn't mean you're as close in real life. Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano had a very public altercation that resulted in a little incident on set being shared with the world. Rose claimed that Alyssa threw a fit in front of the crew, yelling, "They don't pay me enough to do this stuff," only she didn't say stuff. She called Alyssa's behavior appalling, claiming she cried every time the show got renewed for another season reason because it meant more time on a toxic set. Alyssa never shared her own comments on the situation, confirming what she was being accused of. At number 2, Richard Gere. Richard Gere is one of those actors that doesn't really act. Sometimes people just get hired for films because they have the face for it or the style. For Richard Gere, he did not have enough class and moxie to keep a handle on his role in the film The Lords of Flatbush. He was cast to star alongside Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, and according to Sly, these two did not get along. Their beef was strong and long-lasting throughout production until it finally came to a head when one day Richard was a little too into a scene and grabbed Sylvester aggressively by the collar. When Stallone told him to lay off, he laid in instead. The scene was being filmed on Coney Island, and when the actors took a break, they tried to break each other. Stallone was eating a hot dog alone in a car. Sounds peaceful. But suddenly, Richard stormed in to join him with half a chicken dripping in mustard. Despite Sly's warning about the mustard, it dripped all over his pants. In true Rocky fashion, he elbowed Richard in the head and threw him out of the car. The altercation resulted in Richard being fired from the project. Oh no, we have to decide between Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone. I wonder how quick that decision was. And at number 1, Dustin Hoffman. Dustin is a very easy man to spot. Not only is he a solid actor, but he has a very specific face. Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, anyone? Remember that movie? I did not remember that existed until I started writing this script. I will be watching that tonight. Despite his ability to play lovable and cheerful characters, he actually started out as somewhat of a villain. On the second day of filming his more famous part in Kramer vs. Kramer, Dustin decided to improvise a scene where he strikes his co-star Meryl Streep across the face. Let me rephrase that. Dustin Hoffman thought it would be a great idea to strike Meryl Streep. Mamma mia, that's not okay. Not only was Meryl shocked by the move, but she recalled that Dustin was also trying to use a tactic on her called emotional recall, taunting her about her late partner John Cazale and his illness.